the Aztecs, the Romans, the Egyptians, the Victorians, when we were the Tudors.
Hey kids, and welcome to another episode of When We Were. Today we're going to continue our talks on when we were Tudors.
So join us on this fun historical ride through the Tudor times.
My name's Alex.
And my name's James.
Last week we were looking at the life of Henry VII.
You may remember Henry VII was the first Tudor king after he defeated Richard of York at the War of the Roses.
And this week we're going to be looking at the life of his son, Henry VIII.
After the death of his father, Henry was only 17 when he was crowned in 1509.
Originally, Henry wasn't meant to be king, but due to the untimely death of his brother Arthur, Henry became king at a very young age.
Henry is probably the most famous king to have ever ruled England.
Henry became incredibly popular with the masses due to his reduction of the level of tax and the changing of certain laws that was introduced by his father before him. But what we're going to do now, though, is we're going to look further into the life of Henry VIII.
Henry was born on the 28th of June, 1491 at Greenwich Palace. He was the second son of Henry VII and Elizabeth of York. He was a great athlete and loved sports and hunting. It was said that he was the best bow and arrow in England. He was a very clever man, good at Latin, maths, astronomy and music. He spoke 4 languages and even wrote poetry. He loved music and was a keen musician, composer and singer.
One of the reasons that Henry was so well known was because of the fact that he had 6 wives.
Wait, 6 wives? My dad says it's hard enough with just 1.
Well, he did end up divorcing 2 and chopping 2 of their heads off as well.
That's a bit extreme.
Settle down, because we're going to watch this next clip about Henry and his 6 wives.
And we were married for 20 years. I had a baby girl called Mary. She was the only one of many who survived. Henry was obsessed and enraged with the fact that I wasn't able to produce a male heir, which led to our divorce in 1532. I was banished and separated from my daughter. I died 4 years later.
I was Henry's second wife, Anne Boleyn. I was a maid-in-waiting to Catherine of Aragon, and we were married in 1533. I gave birth to Henry's second daughter, Elizabeth, but our marriage sadly fell apart years later when I gave birth to a stillborn son. Henry thought he was being punished for his divorce. He later charged me with crimes against me and had my head chopped off.
Hello, I'm Jane Seymour. I would like to think I was Henry's favourite wife. We were married 11 days after the beheading of Anne Boleyn. In 1537 I gave birth to our son Edward, but 12 days later I died from surgery after childbirth.
Hello, my name is Anne of Cleves. I was Henry's 4th wife. He was persuaded to marry me by Thomas Cromwell. He was disappointed with the way I looked, and we were divorced 6 months later.
My name is Catherine Howard. We were married in 1540. I was 19 and Henry was 50. He suspected me of having other lovers, so he sent me to the Tower of London and had my head chopped off.
My name is Catherine Parr, and I was married to Henry in 1543. I looked after him into his old age, and I reunited him with his 3 children who all came back to court. I was one of only 2 wives who outlived him.
Wow, that was really interesting.
Yeah, it was. I can't believe someone had that many wives in such a short amount of time.
What we're going to do now, though, is make a Tudor rose. This is half red and half white. The red was the symbol of Lancaster, and the white was a symbol of York.
I want to be a Tudor.
But if you want to be a Tudor, the first thing you're going to need is a Tudor rose. So let's make one. The first thing you need to do to make your Tudor rose is make sure you have the following: green, red, black and white crepe paper, some green pipe cleaners, some scissors, some glue or some sticky tape. What you need to do is take the white and red crepe paper, measure out a 15 centimetre square and cut it out, minding your fingers. Fold the paper in half and then in half again. You then need to cut out a petal shape. Do the same again with the white crepe paper, and by the time you've done that, you should end up with 4 petals of the same colour. Next, cut a thin strip of crepe paper about the size of your finger. Cut tiny slits down the side of the paper and wrap it around the top of one of the pipe cleaners and stick it down using the glue. This should look like this. Get a red petal and stretch the inside so it curves round, and do this with all the petals. First stick each of the red petals around the top of the pipe cleaner with the black bit inside. You need to stick the white petals around the red ones and arrange them in a flower shape. Now take the green crepe paper, fold it in half and cut a leaf shape. Stretch the middle and stick it halfway down the pipe cleaner because these will be the leaves. And there you have it, your very own Tudor rose. Why don't you try it yourself? For any more information, please visit our website at www.whenwewere.co.uk.
Well, we've learnt about Henry and his 6 wives, but what did Henry do for fun, and how did they live in Tudor times?
Tudor England was a lot different than it is now. There was only 4 million people living there, unlike the 52 million that there are today. Towns weren't very big, but London was still the largest, and the Tudors built very many new houses as well, too.
At home, everything had to be done by hand, and housewives were very busy people, as when there were washing machines like they are today, they often had to do the washing outside in a stream.
Furniture was mainly made out of wood, especially for the poor. The rich, however, would have had very large, four-poster beds, which have been very precious to them.
School was only for the rich, and it was considered not that important to educate girls.
King Henry encouraged sports. He made it a law that any fit man over the age of 24 should be able to shoot a target with a bow and arrow over 220 yards away.
They played many games such as bowls and hockey, but the sticks were different from what we are used to today. They were curved and used wooden balls, but their favourite was football. And any number could play, and there were no referees. Villagers challenged each other, and well, a lot of the games ended in a lot of serious injuries.
Life for the poor could be hard, but if you were rich like Henry, life definitely had its advantages.
He would have eaten really well and enjoyed lots of meat.
King Henry was also famous for his large lifestyle and his gut-busting feasts. We visited Gainsborough Old Hall to take a look around.
By Sir Thomas Burrough. Is it true that Henry VIII stayed here for 4 nights?
Yes, he did stay 4 nights, and for that amount of time he brought 400 people with him, but they had to camp out here in the grounds.
Today we'll be seeing where Henry ate, even where his food was made, and even where he slept.
But before we can do that, first we're going to need to get in the costume.
So, let's go have a look around.
This was the great hall.
This is the main hall. This is where people, and even Henry VIII, would have eaten and been entertained.
The most important person in the room would have sat here at the top. This is where Henry VIII would have sat. The second most important person, the Lord of the Manor, would have sat here where I'm sitting. And that's where we get the phrase right-hand man.
Does that mean I'm more important than you then?
Well, maybe then, but now, no. Most people would have eaten off of wooden plates like this, which are called trenchers. The Lord of the Manor, however, would have had his own silver plates to eat off. When Henry VIII came to stay, though, he would have brought his own plates, which had been made out of solid gold.
He brought with him his own pastry chef, who was a woman. This was unusual, as in those days, women weren't even allowed in the kitchen. This is only something a king would be able to do.
So now let's go have a look in the kitchen, where the food was actually made.
This is a typical Tudor kitchen. 20 people worked in here, preparing for work the Lord of the Manor may require. They didn't just work here, they lived and slept just above the ovens.
Normally, there'd only be men working in the kitchen, except, of course, on the rare occasion when Henry would have his woman pastry chef working in the kitchen too. Over here we'd have the fires. One fire would be used for stews, pottage and broths, whereas the other fire would only be used for meats. Over here we've got the bread oven. And what the chefs would do is put a fire in the oven and heat up all the bricks on the outside. And when the bricks were hot enough, they'd take the fire out and put the bread in. They didn't have any doors on the ovens, so what they used to do is get dough and spread it over the hole and use that as a door.
This is where they kept the fresh meat. It was so cold it acted like a fridge.
Boom! Clap! Let's go have a look at the pictures.
This is the room where Henry VIII slept when he came to visit here with his wife, Catherine Howard. Although Catherine Howard would not have slept here, she would have had a room downstairs.
When Henry stayed here, he'd have probably gone on trips with the Lord of the Manor, such as hunting. The bedroom also has its own ensuite bathroom with a toilet called a guardrobe. This is a guardrobe. It doesn't actually look like the toilets that we have today. It looks like it'd be a bit cold in the bum for my liking.
Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed our look round Gainsborough Old Hall. But if you excuse me, I'm a bit tired.
I'm really getting hungry now. That sure looked good.
Me too. But what we're going to do now is look at the final years of Henry's life.
In old age, Henry was a sad and lonely person who was terrified of getting ill. He was incredibly overweight and had to be carried by servants. He died on the 28th of January 1547 at Greenwich. He was 56, which in the 16th century was very old.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I'm afraid that's all we've got time for this week. Did you enjoy that, James?
I did. Well, we've both had a lot of fun here today as we continue our look through history.
But please join in next week, as we'll be looking at the reign of Edward, which was Henry's son. But from both of us, it's goodbye.
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 The Aztecs, the Romans, the Egyptians, the Victorians, when